first question we're going to talk about is, does Gertrude know that Claudius killed her husband? Okay.
So, well, let's start with like first thoughts. So what do you think?
I don't think she knows it. I think she thinks something happened to him, but I don't think she has, like obviously she thinks something happened to him that like is out of the ordinary, but I don't think that she knows it was Claudius who wanted to kill her husband.
Well, until Hamlet.
Yeah.
Which is probably where we're going to start. So it's in Act 3, Scene 4.
Mm-hmm.
And Hamlet says to her, almost as bad, good mother, he's talking about having killed Polonius, and he says, it's almost as bad as kill a king and marry with his brother. And Gertrude replies with, as kill a king, like as a question, not knowing what he means.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes on to elaborate, saying, basically, your new husband killed your first husband.
Mm-hmm. And that's something more from Act 3, Scene 4. So Hamlet's saying to Gertrude, this was your husband. Look you now, what follows? Here's your husband, like a mildewed ear blasting his wholesome brother. And the key word is blasting his wholesome brother. So Hamlet is directly telling Gertrude that Claudius killed King Hamlet.
So the question is then, did she already know before he said that, or did she not know? I think I don't know. I think she didn't know.
Yeah, I think
first.
she really didn't know. Because I think she just thought that maybe when Claudius wanted to marry her, that he just wanted to help her grieve her dead husband, and he was being like a good family member, maybe.
Right. And at one point, also in Act 3, Scene 4, when Hamlet is telling Gertrude how Claudius killed Hamlet the First, she tells him 3 times, speak no more, then speak to me no more, and finally she just yells no more. Like, now, I guess there's kind of 2 ways to interpret that. One is that she already knows and she doesn't want to be reminded. She doesn't want him to bring it up. She doesn't want to think about that. Or she didn't know, and so...
And she just doesn't want to accept what Hamlet's telling her.
Right, it's like overwhelming.
Yeah, because she might even believe he's crazy, so she thinks he's just trying to like say, oh, Claudius killed your husband. And she's like, no, he didn't. You're crazy. What are you talking about?
Right. But I mean, I guess in the live version of the play, she's like yelling at him no more, like she's angry and upset, which is harder to then think that she's just in denial.
Yeah. She could just like not want to get out.
Right. And then in Act 4, Scene 1, Claudius comes in, right?
Yeah, Claudius and Gertrude are talking about what Gertrude just witnessed in the closet.
And sorry, go ahead.
Okay, yeah, so the king says, what Gertrude, how does Hamlet? And then Gertrude replies, mad as the sea and wind, when both contend which is the mightier. So this brings up another question. Is Gertrude denying to herself what happened when what Hamlet told her? Or is she trying to protect her son from Claudius?
I think she's probably protecting him. Because if Claudius knows that Hamlet knows, he's going to try to kill him, obviously.
Yeah.
Now granted,
you don't want any witnesses.
He does that anyways. But I think she was trying to protect Hamlet with that. Now, she probably also thinks that he really is crazy because he was talking to his dead father.
Which she could not see, so he thought, Gertrude thought that Hamlet was talking to himself, like seeing things.
Right, exactly. So she probably thinks, or I think she probably thinks that he really is mad. But yeah.
But she still wants to protect Hamlet from Claudius.
She's still trying to cover her bases, I guess.
Okay. Do you have anything else to say about this one?
I don't think so. I mean, I guess maybe if she did know before,
Before the closet scene.
right before the closet scene, if she had already known, I think she probably would have been acting a little differently. Because she seems to be pretty oblivious to the whole thing.
Yeah, but if she did know, she'd be a lot more reluctant to like even spend time with Claudius, and she'd probably be spending a lot more time with Hamlet,
Right.
trying to treasure like her true family.
Right. Unless of course she was a part of it, but I don't think
Yeah,
that was the case
yeah.
at all.
I think it was just purely Claudius
Yeah.
who wanted him the first day.
Yeah. So, we good on that question?
I think so, yeah.
Alright. So, second question. Could Hamlet make a sufficient king?
The first point I'll bring up with this is what Fortinbras said at the very end of the play after Hamlet had died. So he says, "For he was likely, had he been put on, to have proved most royal." And so that's just the opinion of another Fortinbras king, right?
He's in Hamlet's position as nephew to the king.
So
but
the prince then.
right, so he's still royalty.
So some other royalty thinks Hamlet would do a good job, like as the leader, as the king.
But I mean, a lot of the royalty, like Claudius, didn't think Hamlet would have been a good king. So, and Claudius probably knew Hamlet a little bit better
Yeah,
than
that's
Fortinbras
true.
did. But nonetheless, so I think Hamlet has a lot of qualities that are necessary for being a good leader, and ergo, being a good king. He's thoughtful, he's logical, which are necessary. You need to be able to make a good decision as a leader.
But as a leader, you also need to be able to act on those decisions
Exactly.
in like an efficient way,
And
not just like
there's-
beat around the bush for like the whole time.
Right.
Like, I have something I need to do, but I'm gonna wait until the perfect time arises. Like you can't do that as a
Right,
king.
like he avoids killing Claudius for a long time, and you know he puts on the whole play just to make sure that Claudius is guilty, as if
that Claudius feels
seeing
guilt
a
after.
ghost telling him wasn't evidence enough. And actually, in Act 1, after ghost scene, he says that it is a true and honest ghost, or something along those lines. Basically saying, this ghost is telling the truth. It has told me that my uncle killed my father. But then he like doubts himself after that.
Yeah, he becomes skeptical
Yeah.
of just like everything around him. So he needs definitive proof.
Right. Or what he believes to be definitive
Yeah.
proof.
Because like, so if he is doing this play, he doesn't believe that the ghost of his father just telling him like straight out isn't proof enough.
So, in Act 3, Scene 2, he says to Horatio, "Give me that man that is not passion slave." Basically saying Horatio is not passion slave, not being driven by emotion. And Hamlet, in a lot of ways he is, and in a lot of ways he isn't. So it's hard to say. Because like, we see in his conversation with his mother in the closet scene that he's like angry. And he's very emotional in that scene. But
so he is passion slave there.
right, but he doesn't always act on those emotions. Like he finds out that his uncle killed his father, and then he just doesn't do anything about it for a long time, and like never makes a plan. I mean, the one time that he's like really about to do it, he stops and doesn't act on it.
Yeah, he thinks of the reason why not to do it.
Right.
When he's literally holding the knife over Claudius, he can just,
And it would be over.
it's done, but no. He really
And then
wants, like,
the-
he really wants Claudius to like go to hell.
Right. And then the one time that he does act on like emotional instinct, he kills the wrong person.
Yeah. So. And also another reason why maybe he wouldn't be such a good king, before the play, the Death of Gonzago play happens, Hamlet's talking to all of the actors in that play, and he's being very specific with them how he wants their parts to be played, and the actors are obviously getting annoyed because they don't want some guy who's not an actor to tell them how do their jobs. So it shows that Hamlet is super particular, and if he were a king, people would not like him because he'd be super particular about everything that everybody does when they just want to live their lives the way they want to. Like obviously you need some like basic laws, but
also it does say, or Claudius says when they're talking about what to do with Hamlet, he says that the people love him. He's loved of the distracted multitude. Like the people love him. And so if he were to become king, I think they would probably follow him. They would follow like his
and it should
directions.
be a very particular type of society where they do things a very certain way.
Yeah, he's really like kind of regimented in what he wants done.
Then like maybe another thing, Hamlet's only like 30 something years old. Usually kings are not that young when they get to the throne. So he maybe have like, given more time, he could mature into the position of king.
Right. I think we talked about this before, is like, Hamlet isn't the best at making decisions, but he's good at thinking them through. And so I think you said this was that maybe he would be like a good royal advisor.
Yeah, he could like fill Polonius's role. I think that role would suit him much better than being a king, because he knows what needs to happen, and he'll think of ways to make it happen, but he won't actually do it.
He's not the one who's going to do it.
He needs someone to execute the plan for him.
Right. Yeah, and I think that's a good point. Is that his strengths don't put him in the role of a king. His strengths put him more in that role of advisor.
Yeah, he thinks of more like the logistics of the situation, like how he would best do something, which goes into being very particular about like how he wants to play them. So.
Anything else on that one?
I don't think so.
We've gone, what, 12 minutes?
I think we're good.
Do you want to talk about it just really briefly?
Yeah, I think that.
Okay, so last one we'll do really briefly is does Claudius truly love Gertrude? Do you want to get started on this one?
Basically, short answer, I don't think he does. I think he used Gertrude to get to the throne.
I think that's probably true. Is after he killed, I mean, his main goal, obviously, all along was to get the throne. And
maybe he's got something going on inside his head where he thinks he loves Gertrude so that.
I think he probably does. Now, as to whether or not that's just because, there's something wrong in his head, or if he genuinely thinks he loves Gertrude. But I don't think he actually does. I think he probably thinks he does, but I don't really think there's much evidence, at least, to point towards him truly loving her. I mean, you could argue, when she's about to drink the poison wine, that he tries to get her to stop.
Yeah,
but that might just be, trying to cover himself.
Yeah, does he really love her, not want her to die, or does he just not want the queen to drop dead after taking a sip of wine? Right.
Probably just covering himself, trying to make sure that he doesn't get in trouble for that. But yeah, I think his main goal was always to get to the throne by whatever means necessary.
Yeah, so he had to do that by killing his brother and marrying his brother's wife.
Yeah. So I don't think he really loves her. And I mean, you don't either. I don't think there's really a whole lot to discuss there. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Are we good?
Yeah, I think we're good.
That was what, 14 minutes?
Yeah.
Yeah. Good.